My name is Josephine Hartwell. I am 63 years old and I live in Terre Haute, Indiana. On March 14th at 8:22 in the evening, my phone lit up on the kitchen counter with a message I was never meant to see. My daughter had written it. She wrote, "Don't stress. Mom won't understand what she's looking at anyway. She never does." I read it once. Then I set my mechanical pencil down on the counter, and I did not pick it up again that night. Here is what none of them knew. 22 days before that message, I had already filed the paperwork. It cost $340 in attorney's fees, and one afternoon of my life I am never getting back. Nobody in that family knew it existed. I sent exactly one reply to that group chat. 8 words. They read it as a mood. It was not a mood. My phone buzzed for 4 hours after that. 6 weeks later, sitting around a dining room table with 9 people at it, they finally understood what 8 words meant. Welcome to Brave Mom Stories, where the women who kept the files organized finally get to open them out loud. Drop a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Let me tell you what I did for a living, because none of what comes after makes sense without it. In 1985, I took a job as a trainee appraiser at Hendricks & Morrow on Wabash Avenue in Terre Haute for $7.50 an hour. The office smelled like carpet cleaner and burnt coffee, and I loved it from the first week. An appraisal is a professional opinion about what something is worth. Not what someone wants it to be worth, not what the seller thinks it should be, and not what the buyer's cousin told them over the phone. It is a sworn statement attached to a number. Every number I put on a report for 31 years had my license number under it and my signature next to it. And both of those things meant I was saying, I am willing to stand behind this. I got my certified residential appraisal license in 1989. I was 27 with a 4-year-old daughter, a mortgage on a house with 1 bathroom, and a husband named Gordon who sold auto parts wholesale and coached Little League on Saturdays. I opened my own firm in 1997. Hartwell Property Services, 2nd floor of a building on Poplar Street, 2 desks, and a filing cabinet that did not close all the way. I ran that office for 24 years before I sold the client list to a woman named Bev Oster, who still runs it today. In 31 years, 3 people asked me to put a number on a report that was not the real number. I said no to all 3. I want you to hold on to that. 3 people asked. I said no to all 3. The fact that I am telling you this story at all means something changed. We will get to that. Gordon died in October of 2017. He was 59. We had been married 34 years. Our house on Maple Crest Drive has a kitchen table he built himself in the garage on a long weekend in 2004. It has 1 leg that wobbles slightly on the left side. Every carpenter in the make offered to fix it, and I told every one of them no. The wobble is his. I am not fixing it. My daughter is 41. She lives in Greencastle with her husband, who is 43, and manages a construction supply company. They have been married since 2015. My son is 37. He lives 20 minutes from me in Sullivan and works in hospital administration. His wife is 36, and she has never once done anything to me that needed explaining. My granddaughter is 15. She goes to school in Greencastle, and she is sharp in the way that teenagers are sharp when nobody has told them yet to dull it down. Here is the arrangement, because you need to understand it before you can understand anything else. In April of 2021, my son-in-law came to me with a proposition. He and my daughter wanted to buy a rental property, a 4-unit building on the east side of Greencastle. Good price, decent neighborhood, strong rental market. The problem was his credit. He had a Chapter 13 on his record from 2013, still showing. His debt-to-income ratio was also tight from the construction company's credit line. The bank would lend, but not at a rate they could make work on the rental income. He did not work up to it. He sat at my kitchen table, the one with the wobbly leg, and said it plainly, if the property goes in your name, we get a better rate. Your credit's clean. We'll handle the management, pay the mortgage, cover the taxes. You'll be on paper only. My daughter sat next to him, and she did not say anything for a while. She had a look on her face I recognized. It is the look she gets when she has already decided something and is waiting to see if I will fight it. I am going to be honest about what I did next, because I have had 3 years to sit with it, and I owe you the truth before I tell you the rest. I said yes. I said it in about 4 seconds. I told myself it was a calculation. I had a 790 credit score and a paid-off house and no debt. I had reviewed the numbers on the property myself. I had looked at the rent rolls and the cap rate and the comparable sales in that zip code, because that is what I do and I cannot stop doing it. I genuinely believed, that I could hold this arrangement in my head and see every angle of it. I told myself I was the one person in that family who actually understood what we were doing and that I could carry it safely. That is arrogance wearing a cardigan. A rounding error is a rounding error right up until someone stops making the mortgage payment and the bank calls you by your first name. By June of 2022, they had also added me to their LLC. Hartwell and Kurtz Property Management, they named it, using my last name without asking, as a 20% partner. They needed the LLC to have a partner with clean financials for a business credit line application. $40,000 at 8.1%. The bank wanted a personal guarantee from the cleanest partner on the filing. I signed it, the way I signed everything in those years, quickly, because refusing felt like a door slamming, and I had spent too long being afraid of that sound. By September of 2023, there were 2 more properties in the LLC's name. I was a named partner in a business managing 3 rental properties, a business credit line, and a mortgage, none of which I had any operational role in, and none of which anyone had consulted me about since the original conversation in 2021. My daughter's version of this arrangement is simple. She would tell you her mother is a professional, that this was all above board, and that it was just paperwork. She has said the words "just paperwork" to me more times in 3 years than I have fingers. I need to place one specific moment here because it is the one that changed the temperature of things, even though I did not act on it immediately. Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. I was at my kitchen table going through the mail. A letter from the IRS came through my door addressed to Hartwell and Kurtz Property Management, care of Josephine Hartwell. It was a CP 2000 notice, a mismatch between income reported on the LLC's return and income reported by a third party. Not an audit in the dramatic sense. But it was my Social Security number on the top line, and it was sitting on my kitchen table, and it was asking me to respond within 60 days about a business I had never set foot inside. I put it face down on the counter. I sat in Gordon's chair by the window. I stayed there long enough for the light to change. I called my daughter the following Saturday morning. I told her the notice had come to my address. She said, "Oh, that's probably just a 1099 mismatch. We had a contractor filed late." She said we 11 times in that phone call. Not once did the word "you" follow it, as in, you should know, or you'll need to respond, or you, whose name and number are on every form we file. She said she would have her accountant handle it. Her accountant did not call me. What happened instead is that I called Bev Oster at my old firm and asked her who she used for legal work on titles and transfers. She gave me a name. I called that office on Monday, September 16th. I am not going to rehearse every legal detail because this is a kitchen table story, not a law school lecture. What I will tell you is that I spent 2 hours with a real estate attorney, and I left with a clear understanding of exactly what my name was attached to, exactly what I was personally liable for, and exactly what the process was to remove myself from all of it in an orderly way. A quitclaim deed is a document that transfers your ownership interest in a property to someone else. It does not promise anything about the title. It just says, I am stepping out of this. Whatever is here, I am no longer part of it. You file it at the county recorder's office. In Putnam County, Indiana, the recording fee is $25 per instrument. I know that because I have filed a great many of them over 31 years. I never thought one of them would be about my own family. The attorney also drafted a partnership withdrawal notice for the LLC, and I sent written notice to the bank about the personal guarantee, which required my son-in-law to either refinance or provide a substitute guarantor. I tried to do this the ordinary way first, I want that on the record before we go any further. On Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, 14 days before I filed anything, I drove to Greencastle. I sat at my daughter's kitchen table. I brought a folder. My daughter looked at the folder the way people look at something they have already decided not to read. Her husband did not sit down for the first 3 minutes. I told them what I intended to do. I used plain words. I said I needed my name off the deed and out of the LLC and removed from the personal guarantee on the credit line. I said I would help them navigate the process. I said I was not trying to damage anything. I said I needed it done before the end of the year. My son-in-law said this would put the credit line in jeopardy. I said I knew, and I was sorry about that, but I could not leave my name on a guarantee for a business I was not part of. He said I was part of it. I said, on paper. He repeated my words back to me. Right, it's just paperwork. My daughter asked if I wanted to stay for dinner. I drove home. On October 17, 2024, I filed the quit-claim deed at the Putnam County Recorder's Office. $25. I sent the partnership withdrawal notice by certified mail, $9.80. I notified the bank by certified mail, $9.80 again. Then I drove back to Terre Haute and sat at the wobbling table and ate leftover soup, and I did not cry. I was not proud of myself, and I was not ashamed of myself. I was something more like empty. Gordon used to say the right thing is rarely the comfortable thing, and I spent most of my life thinking he was talking about other people. I called my daughter on October 22nd. She did not pick up. I left a voicemail, 28 seconds, saying there would be documents coming and she should call me before doing anything with them. She texted back 3 hours later. One word, okay. She never called. Now, I need to tell you about the group chat. It is called Family Stuff. My son's wife started it in 2020 during the pandemic so we could coordinate for the older relatives. I was in it for a year, then my son-in-law joined, and the purpose shifted, and I muted it in 2022 after I found out about my granddaughter's school play through that chat 2 days after the fact. My granddaughter added me back in January of 2024. She wanted to show everyone a photograph she had taken for her art class. I stayed. Nobody noticed. My name sat in that list for 14 months like a library card nobody checked out. On March 14, 2025, at 8:22 in the evening, I was at the kitchen table paying bills. The phone lit up. My daughter had sent a message to the group about the Easter gathering at her house. Then her husband responded. Then my daughter again. And then she had meant to send it privately and sent it to the group instead. It sat there for 47 seconds before she deleted it. 47 seconds was enough. It said, "Don't stress. Mom won't understand what she's looking at anyway. She never does." I read it once. It was not a message about one specific document. It was a message about me generally. It had a shape that already existed. She did not write that the way you write something new. She wrote it the way you write something you have said 100 times before, and it fits your mouth without thinking. I set Gordon's mechanical pencil down on the counter. He gave me that pencil when I passed my appraisal exam in 1989. The clip is worn silver from 31 years of shirt pockets. I set it down and did not pick it up that night. I typed my reply at 8:51. I wrote 2 drafts. The first one had the word hurt in it twice. I deleted it. The second was too long and explained too much, which is a thing I do when I am afraid, and I was not going to be afraid on a Friday night in my own kitchen. I thought about what was actually true at 8:51 on March 14th. Here is what I sent. I already signed the transfer 22 days ago. 8 words. No emoji. No punctuation at the end because it was not a sentence that needed one. Every word of it was provably true. The quitclaim deed had been on record at the Putnam County Recorder's Office since October 17, 2024. Anyone who wanted to look could look. The responses came in 9 minutes. My son-in-law, what transfer? My daughter, Mom, what does that mean? Then 3 dots. Then, call me. Then my son, who had apparently been reading along, a single question mark. Then my granddaughter, who is 15 and honest, Grandma, is this about the property stuff? Not one of them asked what happened 22 days ago. Not one of them thought to ask what event on October 17th might have caused a document to get filed. They all read 8 words as drama. It was not drama. It was a county record. I did not reply. I turned the phone face down and finished paying the bills. I went to bed at my normal time, and I was surprised to find that I slept. The next 4 days were ordinary, and I think that matters more than people expect. I went to my water aerobics class Monday morning. I had lunch with my friend Greta on Tuesday at the diner on Ohio Street. Wednesday, I dropped off a casserole for a neighbor who had had a procedure. Thursday, I reorganized the hall closet, which had been needing it since November. I did not send another message to that group chat. I have not sent one since. My son-in-law came to my house on Saturday, March 21st, at 10:40 in the morning. He did not knock right away. He sat in the truck for a few minutes with the engine idling. I watched from the kitchen window. He came in as far as the entry mat and would not sit down. He said the bank had called him the previous week about the credit line. He said the attorney handling the property had found the deed transfer in the county system. He said the whole thing could be resolved if I simply filed a correction, that the transfer had been made in error or without full understanding of the consequences. He said without full understanding twice, which is what a man does when he is trying out a phrase to see if it will hold weight. I stood by the kitchen counter with my hands folded. I did not raise my desk. I did not mention the group text. I did not tell him I had seen what was sent before it was deleted. That would have been the easiest thing in the world to say, and it would have felt wonderful for approximately 8 seconds. I said one sentence: I'm not going to file a correction on something that's correct. He waited for the rest of it. There was no rest of it. He said, "That's it? That's all you've got?" I said, "That's it." I opened the front door the way my mother always did when a conversation was finished. He went out and then turned on the step. He hit the storm door with the flat of his hand and said, "You are burning this family down over a piece of paper." He was wrong about exactly one thing in that sentence. He was wrong about who was holding the paper. Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025. My daughter's house in Greencastle. 9 people. I brought a sweet potato pie and a blue accordion folder. The pie went on the dessert table. The folder went on the chair beside the coat rack, and I did not open it. I got a cup of coffee, and I stood by the sliding glass door and talked to my son about the weather for 6 minutes. He had the look of a man watching 2 trains and hoping they pass each other. My son-in-law started before the ham was carved. He said my name loud enough for the whole dining room and said that I had filed paperwork that put his family's finances in jeopardy and that I needed to file a correction before the bank acted. He said, "Correction the way you press on a bruise." My daughter came and stood at his shoulder. My granddaughter was watching from the kitchen doorway with a deviled egg in her hand. She set it down. I said, "No." He said, "It's one phone call to the bank." I said, "It was never just paperwork." He knew where that came from. His face did the thing a face does when a sentence you said casually across someone's kitchen table years ago comes back at you in front of witnesses with a different weight. He said, "You are enjoying this." I said, "I am not." That is 1 word, then 5, then 3, 9 words in that dining room. I am only proud of how few. Then my daughter said the thing that moved the room. She did not say it to me. She said it to the general air. She's been planning this since October. The room shifted. It is a good sentence. It explains everything and costs nothing to say. I walked to the coat rack. I picked up the blue accordion folder. I put 3 things on the dining room table next to the bread basket. 1. The quitclaim deed, file stamped by the Putnam County Recorder's Office. October 17, 2024. My signature, the notary seal. The date written in someone else's hand because that is how notary seals work. 2. The certified mail receipt from the partnership withdrawal letter, green card, initials in the signature box, stamped received October 21, 2024. 3. The IRS CP 2000 notice, still in its original envelope, addressed to me, dated August 12, 2024. My social security number in the top right corner of a document about a business I had never managed. Then I set my phone face up on top of all three, open to the group chat. March 14th, 2025, 8:22 in the evening. The message sent to the group and deleted 47 seconds later, preserved in a screenshot I had taken before it disappeared, because I have been taking screenshots of things that matter since my son-in-law first used the words "just paperwork" in 2021. My son's wife leaned over and looked at the dates on the deed without anyone asking her to. She straightened up and said to the room, "Not to me. October 17th. That's before any of this started." She said it quietly. She said it the way a person says something when they want it heard, but do not want to be the one who said it. I said 2 words, 22 days. Then I read the deleted message out loud. Flat voice. Same voice I used for 31 years reading comparable sales off a printed sheet in front of clients who did not want to hear the number. My daughter started to say something and stopped. The attorney my son-in-law had apparently invited, who had been standing in the living room with a plate of crackers and cheese, set the plate down on the coffee table. My granddaughter asked what a quitclaim deed was. Nobody answered her right away. My daughter said, "So you were building a case this whole time," I said. "I was correcting a record." She said, "You let this go on for years and then just did this without even telling us." I said, "I called you October 22nd. She was quiet. You texted back 1 word. She had no answer to that. So she went where she always goes, when there is no answer. She said, "You pick paperwork over family every single time." I have heard a version of that sentence before. Not from her specifically, but in a shape that fits her mouth. I suspect she and her brother have been trading some form of it for longer than either of them realizes. My son-in-law said I had put his family in a financial position they did not deserve. He used the word betrayal 3 times. He said he would make sure that people they knew understood what I had done. He picked up the quitclaim deed and then put it back down because there is a notary seal on it, and even furious men know what a seal means. My son's wife moved from the doorway to stand beside me. She did not say anything. She just stood there. That was enough. I said 3 things, and then I stopped talking. I said, "The deed is filed. That is not changing." I said, "I will not sign anything I cannot swear to in front of a stranger." I said, "I am not going to continue this in your dining room on Easter." I got my coat from the pile on the bed in the back room. On the way out, I stopped at the kitchen doorway where my granddaughter was still standing. She said, "Grandma, will you text me later?" I said yes. I meant it. I drove home, 61 miles. I got in at 7:40 and sat at Gordon's table with the wobbly leg and had a glass of water, and I did not cry, and I was not proud of that, and I was not ashamed of it either. I was done, and done is not the same as sad. Between 8 that night and 2 in the morning. Calls, I counted them Monday morning with my coffee and wrote the number on the back of an envelope, the way Gordon taught me to write down anything you intend to remember. 26 from my son-in-law, 14 from my daughter, 3 from my son, 1 from my granddaughter. 44 calls. 3 years of managing other people's paperwork, and not one of those people called me twice in a day to ask how I was doing. I answered 1 call on Monday morning, my granddaughter's. We talked for 20 minutes. She asked me what a quitclaim deed was. I told her. She asked if I was okay. I said yes, and I meant it more than I expected to. Here is what the spring cost, including me. My son-in-law refinanced the business credit line in May with a private lender at a higher rate. His attorney mailed me a release of the personal guarantee in June. I signed it and returned it the same day. My daughter and I have spoken twice since Easter. Both conversations were short. She has not said she was wrong. She has not said she is sorry. I keep the ringer on anyway. In February, I moved my own duplex on the south side of town, a property I have owned since 2008, onto a proper landlord policy, because in the process of reviewing everything, I discovered I had let the coverage lapse into a category that no longer fit the situation. The corrected premium is $880 more per year than what I had been paying. I pay it without complaint. A true sentence costs something sometimes, and I have stopped pretending that is unfair. My granddaughter comes to Terre Haute on the second Saturday of the month now. We have lunch, and she brings her camera, and she photographs the houses in my old appraisal territory. The ones I retired in the 90s when the neighborhoods were just starting to change. She has her grandfather's eye for a good line. I do not say that to everyone. I said it to her last month, and she looked at the wobbly table leg for a moment, and then she looked at me, and she said, "I know." My son-in-law texted me once in May after the refinance closed. 4 words. "It worked out fine." I did not respond. He is welcome to believe that. The higher rate will disagree with him every month for the next 7 years, and it will do so without requiring anything from me. My son's wife sent me a card in June. A plain card, no occasion. Inside she had written, "I knew before Easter. I should have said something sooner. I'm sorry I didn't." That card is in the blue accordion folder now, on top of the deed, and the certified mail receipts, and the IRS notice. It is the only thing in that folder I did not put there for documentation. I still carry Gordon's mechanical pencil in my shirt pocket every morning. Some habits are not worth breaking. So here is what I know at 63 from the wobbling table in the kitchen on Maple Crest Drive. You are welcome at my table. You are not welcome on my credit report. If you cannot put your own name on something, if you need mine to qualify, if you need mine to make the numbers work, if you need mine because yours carries history you have not finished paying for, then what you are asking for is not help. It is storage. You want to store your risk inside my name because mine is cleaner, and you are counting on the fact that I love you enough not to read what I am signing. For 3 years, I was that person. I signed, I guaranteed. I told myself it was love. The day I stopped, they called it a betrayal. It was not. It was the first honest document I had put my name on in 3 years. 31 years of signing nothing I could not swear to, and then 3 years of signing everything they slid across the table at me. Go read what you have signed your name to. That is the only homework this story gives you. Share this with someone who needed to hear it. Drop a comment below. Hit subscribe. I will see you next time.